Good morning, people of God. Listen, I wanna share something right quick. I wanna say this: we should not allow our the pain of our childhood traumas to make us hurt innocent people, hurt other people. Sometimes the things that we develop within our character, if we don't deal with them at a younger age, we go through life growing older and have hurt caused so much pain and so many hurts to so many different people, right? Nevertheless, when we ask for forgiveness, we can be forgiven. Even if man doesn't forgive us, God can forgive us. But we can't allow the childhood traumas to make us hurt other people. Me growing up, I felt like I never really had anyone to pour into me. I never really had the support like every child deserves. I never really had that. And it made me fight back. It made me be stronger. It made me say, okay, well, I'm going to do it myself. Okay, well, if daddy was the first man that ever broke my heart, no man is ever going to break my heart. Some of the childhood traumas, it can make us strong. Some of us, we decide to be strong and, we kept a pure heart. But then there's sometimes when some people, their hearts turn cold because of the anger or the pain that they never knew how to deal with it. No child asked to come into this world. Every child is innocent. Children don't ask to be here. And then as we grow up, if we never have anyone to help us understand our trauma or why we do the things we do, we grow up and we can be hurt a lot of people. Or some of us, if you have a pure heart, you can grow up and a lot of people can take advantage of you because you may never had the love or nurturing that you should have had as a child. So you look for that in other human beings. If we never had that nurturing from childhood, we look for that and think that other people will love us, or when really it could lead you down a pathway of just being used and taken advantage of, and nobody ever is going to give you that love that you're looking for or that you should have had in a parent. So you have to learn how to love yourself. And so some of us, we do what we've done, and we're doing our own work of loving ourselves and just continuing on just to try and support and strengthen our brothers and sisters. And what brought that to me this morning, just because, I was just up and pondering over some things. My father called me several days ago, and he said that, he wanted to know what to do to make it right or be in my life. And I didn't have an answer for him. All I know is that I told him, he said he was sorry for everything. And I didn't ask him to name everything because I knew and he knew. I just said, I forgive you. I've forgiven you a long time ago. In fact, there was a while ago, over a year or so or two ago, I even told him in a text when he was, the way he handled me was not how a father should handle a daughter. And I've told him I forgive him. I'm not upset with my father. Never. I can't allow that pain to ride with me. I had to forgive him years ago so that I would not be mean and bitter, towards other people who did not hurt me. And there were things growing up, even though my mother was there were times I felt like she wasn't really present, because when I got inducted to the School of Honors in college and nobody was there. I ran track in high school. Nobody ever came to support or cheer me on, or just different things that I was interested in. I never had anyone to pour into me, but there was a time several years ago when my mother, the way that she did things growing up, she sat down. It affected me in some ways, some of the things as a child. But she sat down one day several years ago and she asked me, will I forgive her? And I said, yes, I forgive you, And so I leave that there, And so my father, I'd forgiven him. And growing up, sometimes I felt like I had to be a parent because sometimes when I never met him until I was about my father until I was about 15 years old. And then he didn't stay in my life. And I remember when I was in college, one time he called and he asked if I had any female friends I could hook him up with. And I was just a freshman in college, just going to college. And that's what he called me about. Never, ever was concerned about anything I had going on, you know. And, you know, my father, he was a womanizer. Every woman he hurt for some reason over time, she'd find a way to get me or my mother's number and call and talk about what he's done. And you know, so it was dealing with that, and it was just a lot of toxicity, but I forgave him, you know. And my father loves to fish, and there were times when I went, and there was one time there was this expensive, I forgot the name of it, this really it was a very popular fishing cane, and I went and I bought it for him. I gave it to him, you know. I surprised him one year. So my heart has always been in a place of forgiveness, but it's like when you constantly keep connection and you see that there's no love, there's neglect, it makes you feel those pains of childhood. So sometimes you have to separate in order to truly grow and be healed, you know. And you know, there are things that both of my parents experienced growing up, pains that they never had any counseling or anyone to teach them how to get over it. You know, my mother looked for love in the wrong places a lot. And I always decided I was never going to be that type of woman that always looked to a man for love. You know, I bought my mother her first brand new car. She'd always had a hard time going to mechanic after mechanic, taking advantage of her. And so I was determined. I said, I'm going to buy you your first brand new car. You know, I always gave. And as a child, I never really had that mental support or emotional support, anyone to just pour into me. I was just always work hard, you know. And so when my father asked me, what can we do to build a relationship? I told him, I don't know. I forgive you. I'm not upset, but I would really love for him to go and get his own healing, you know. There's been a lot of women that, a lot of pain that he's caused. And, you know, he attributed it to the fact that his mother gave him up, him and his brother, my uncle, gave him to another family member because she couldn't take care of them. And so my uncle, he's married for over 30 something, 40 years and got grandkids, but been with one wife his whole life, still love his wife. And he's always checked on me throughout the year. You know, he's taught me a lot. So totally different. But my father said that's why he was the way he was. And, you know, at this point, you know, I'm not mad at anybody. I love everybody, you know, and you'll never see me bash my parents or bash anyone for that matter. You know, I'm just trying to walk this life upright and keep a pure heart, walk in love. But the one thing I know is that when we don't deal with childhood trauma, it could cause us to hurt innocent people. You know, it could cause you to repeat cycles, you know. And me as a woman, I don't want to repeat cycles of what I've been through. You know, as a generational curse breaker, you're supposed to break those cycles. And even some of the things I saw, you know, growing up, you know, it shaped me how I am now. You know, I don't run and allow myself to just jump at the man at the man. I really realized sometimes it affects certain women differently, you know, not having a father there and looking for that male role. But I always said my heart was, you know, and seeing my mother, you know, constantly be hurt. I always said my father was the first man that broke my heart. He's the only man that broke my heart. And I was going to do it myself. You know, there were times when I remember when I first learned how to change a tire, I hit a pothole in Georgia at 285 split. I was going somewhere. I was in college. And I went to see an agent or something up there in college, and I hit a pothole. When I got to my destination, that's when the tire was flat. And I had to learn to change a tire. I couldn't call anyone, you know. I knew if I called my dad, he was never going to come find me. So it was like I was just always, you know, alone. Like even though he came back into my life at that young age, but he would call sometimes and he wouldn't, you know, he was never really there. I never really had that love. But I learned how to change a tire on my own, and there's a lot of things that I run into. I can't just pick up the phone and call my father because he wouldn't, it's not that he would care. There was one time I've given an opportunity to be in my life, and, I was working on something here at my home, and he was supposed to come in. He was like, okay, I'm going to take the opportunity. He came dressed up in a suit when I was working on something on my car with getting my hands dirty. He didn't come to help, then he was doing other little things. And, that was, I was like, okay, no, you got to go, you know. But at the end of the day, I forgive. I don't walk around with a heart of bitterness. And forgiveness doesn't mean you won't remember certain things, or you won't talk about certain things, but it just means that you have that love. If you unforgiveness, you can't love somebody and with unforgiveness in your heart. You can only show people love when there is true forgiveness there, you know. But at the same time, people have to do their own internal work, because if not, it will lead to more pain. It will lead to, you know, if you let them back into your life, it just leads to those feelings, and you see that you may be grown, but you're still neglected, and so it leads to those pains resurfacing, because that love and that emotional support is still not there, you know. And so that's what I just wanted to share, that we cannot allow our childhood traumas to cause us to hurt other people. If I get to a place where I ever had brought a child into this world, I'm going to be there for my child. I'm going to love that child. I'm going to pour into that child. I'm going to be my child's biggest cheerleader, because this world that we live in is so cruel. It's so hurtful. It's so painful. There is no love in the world, and children deserve to be loved and to be supported, right? And so, me as a woman, I'm thankful for, my strengths that I have now, because it's taught me how to keep my heart guarded. A lot of what I went through and what I observed in childhood, and I don't believe that it's a woman's place to go out and just look for um, love from man to man. I don't believe that. The Bible tells us how we should carry ourselves, and I believe that when we live according to how God has called us to live, if any man finds you, you become a blessing for him. But if no man finds you or discovers you, your blessings, God will still bless you and elevate you and strengthen you, and I'm a living witness. We can accomplish anything when we put God first, right? So anyway, I just want to share that. We can't allow childhood traumas to cause us to hurt other people. We got to get our healing, because unhealed childhood traumas can lead to us hurting innocent people. Yep. So y'all have a blessed day. If nobody told you that they loved you today, I'm telling you, your little country bumpkin sister loves you. It's only one of you in this whole wide world. Go out into the world and make your mark. Let your light shine bright. And we know that the blood of Jesus Yeshua, our friend, our brother, our Savior, that blood is the only blood that has power. Have a blessed day.